change the way in which people approach community development. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Maurice Nelischer.
Oh, good morning. This will be very close to tying your shoe. One little idea. If Ted can get an X, I can too. And we're going to talk about perceiving passive paradigm. Of course, that's the issue that's going on throughout this wonderful day. I want to move it to more of living passive paradigm, figuring out how we can live. No, I just don't want to look at it like so many academics will do. I want to be able to give us some tools to be able to live passive paradigm. And of course, the reason I have two dimes is there because I can never read the word paradigm without laughing to myself, that's two dimes. And so I put that in. I always think of two dimes. I'm going to talk about sustainability as Director of Sustainability. I want to talk about that paradigm that's kind of moved into our lexicon and our minds over the last 10, 15, hopefully since 1988 when it was first came out with the Brundtland Report. I want to talk about that paradigm, and I want to first talk about what sustainability is, what we have to do in terms of maintaining sustainability, and also how we can approach it perhaps in a different way, which is somewhat sacrilegious. I don't particularly like the word sustainability, and I'm going to give you those reasons. Sustainability has three pillars, commonly known three pillars: economics, society, and the environment, meaning that if we don't have either with pillar, the chair is going to fall. We do very well in the environmental side. We don't do all that well in the other two sides, and they all need to be there. But the environmental side is the one that's getting most of the press these days, most of the attention, most of our appreciation because of things like climate change and everything else. Well, it's one thing to have a beautiful country in terms of environment, but if we don't have a safe country, if we don't have an economically viable country or world, we're in trouble. It doesn't matter what we end up doing. And more importantly, I want to put you and me into this mix. When you just have those three bubbles, you just see the three bubbles, those three disciplines, or whatever we want to call them, three pillars of sustainability. Well, indeed, the biggest pillar is you and me. And we're going to, and that becomes extremely important, and you'll get to that point later on. Three big issues with sustainability right now. Now, sustainability takes into everything, including climate change, of course, rivers, food, everything. Three big things. Population, number one, is the issue. We've got too many people on the planet. We know that. We've got too many people. You and I can't do much about that, except exercise safe sex. And then we also have energy and technology. Now that's where an awful lot of our attention has gone these days. Energy is causing a lot of our economic and environmental degradation. Technology is there to hopefully is going to help us. We look at that as a savior. It's not really going to be a savior, you know, and it's going to be part of the thing. But energy and technology is something that other people are working on. The vast majority of people are not working on those aspects. What we can do is determine all of this by how we live. And I want to bring sustainability, just like that first bubble in terms of all the pillars of sustainability. I want to envelop that whole concept with what you can do in a personal sense. Sustainability is complicated. There's lots of stuff going on out there. Lots of issues, intertwined issues. I talk about my old 20-year-old Volvo and how I love driving that, and well, first of all, because I look cool driving it, but that's what my daughters say anyways. But also, and what do they know? Also, I'm going to keep the embedded energy that's in a car and keep on going. If it's not polluting, if I don't drive a long distance, then it's probably a pretty good thing. But it's a bad thing. So it's a good thing for the environment, but it's a bad thing for the economy and social aspects of it. Those people, my neighbor down the street can't get a job making cars. My neighbor down the other street can't get a job selling cars. So it becomes much more complicated than just saying, oh, I'm going to do this to save the environment. Well, you've got to address all the other ones too. And it's just kind of mind-boggling. And so what I want to do is to demonstrate that, I want these 4 people. Come on up right now. Quickly, I've only got, how many more minutes have I got? Hey, the clock is gone. Okay. Here, you look like you can. Here. You take those 2. You take these 2. You take this one. Now you're going to stand over there. You stand over here. Okay, now, just pretend these are the 3 things that we have to juggle with. I just gave you 3 things. Look how complicated it really is. Okay, so now, now all of you start juggling. You just have to stand there. No. Start juggling. Start juggling. Go, quickly, go. Good, you're doing it well, okay. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this person is not David Suzuki. David Suzuki could juggle. I mean, you know, he could understand all of that stuff. But you can't, right? Because, and she's like most people. We can't handle all the complicated things that sustainability entails. We might be able to handle 2. Go ahead, try it. Oh, he's pretty good. No, you can do pretty well too. This is the kind, and this person is just bored. And so this person is the one that I want everyone to become when they're dealing with sustainability, not this one. And when we give out so much information about sustainability, we just get, like she was trying to pass the ball over to the other guy. And that's what's going to happen here. Just a minute, I have some presents for you for doing this. 2 dimes. Thank you. Here you go. Here's your last one. Okay, give me back the balls. Okay, so, oh, thanks. Now with sustainability being so difficult, so, hello, did I knock it off? Is it still on? Okay, good. With sustainability being so difficult, see, it's not working. All right, there, good. I really think that the word sustainability is unsustainable. It's not, we're not going to be able to create sustainable world by keeping on the idea of sustainability. It's just way too complicated. It might work for the David Suzukis of the world and all of you smart university types, but it's not going to work for the general population. It's just too difficult. So, and indeed, when we end up trying to save the planet, there's no way it's going to have any traction if it doesn't include bettering your life or actually showing you that it's a good life. I'm not talking about things to have. I'm not talking about money that you earn. But we're going to have to attach sustainability to a good life. And so what I've done is looked at sustainability as my job, but also I'm very interested in the whole discipline of happiness, the whole study area of figuring out what happiness is. And there's a lot of great research on that. So I put those 2 things together. I put together the idea of being happy with the idea of being sustainable. We can all, if you ask anybody, they'll all say, if you ask them what they want in life, the first thing they'll say is, I want to be happy. That's all. Not one person have I ever come up and said, I want to be sustainable. Then that's not going to happen. So what I'm trying to do is move it into that, move happy into sustainable. And so almost all the things that make us happy, according to the research, are sustainable. There are very few that aren't sustainable. And so now suddenly, all I should be doing, increasing my happiness. Don't think about sustainability, just think about your own personal happiness. And this is where that paradigm shift is required. I'm asking you to consider a paradigm shift away from the science and the information and putting it onto yourself. Now, this is not in an egotistical way, but rather a thought that by doing this, you actually connect with individuals, not with a concept. And so just try to be happy. There are a number of things that make you happy. The number one thing that all the research is pointing to, by the way, it's not money, at $75,000, your happiness levels off. Hey, it's working better now. Your levels off. So you get to $75,000, yeah, money does make you happier in certain degrees, but after that, you're not going to get happier. But they say that the most important thing is not to have stuff, have experiences. Spend your money, because we need an economy that's vibrant. We need to change that economy slightly to a more of an experiential economy rather than a product economy. This is what we live like now. We got lots of crap that we don't know what we're doing with. Why the heck do we have it? Most of you aren't like that. Anyone over 30 lives in this. Most of you haven't got enough money to make a big green area yet. But hopefully, you're getting a lot of orange area and blue area in there. When you get older, you start getting a big green area. I just cleaned out my basement, and I think with all the stuff in the basement, I could have taken the whole family around the world 3 or 4 times if I had spent the same amount of money. And I would have thought about it. Instead, I took all of this stuff to the Salvation Army and gave it to them. It's ridiculous. And yet, I could have spent the same amount of money, moved the economy in the same way, and indeed made myself happier. So this is what I want to get to. I want more memories, less stuff. So I have a thing that I always do is all my presents disappear. I never give a present that hangs around. It always disappears. It's a meal, it's an experience, it's a trip, it's a concert, it's a bottle of wine, something that disappears all the time, because those are the things that make experiences. Things don't make experiences. Of course, we also want to, as a designer, I like to make sure that more of my stuff that I need, I actually like. And there again is a much more sustainable world. What I'm trying to do is connect happiness with sustainability. Being happy in certain ways, in these major ways, will make the world, de facto, much more sustainable. This is another way of looking at it. This is talking about the energy that it takes to purchase stuff. And you can see that the joy is there at the beginning, but very quickly it crosses over, and that thing is a burden. And if any of you have ever moved, you know what I'm talking about. That crossing point happens very, very quickly. In fact, they say about 3 months. That point crosses and becomes a burden to own, not a physical burden. And it is a physical burden, but it's a mental burden. We're talking about the mental focus on this and how much it really costs to have something. And all of that mental focus that's there could indeed be someplace else if you didn't do all of this stuff, and you'd be much more sustainable. So we've got to change that paradigm shift away from getting stuff. Stuff is cheap, stuff is accessible, stuff doesn't do anything for us. We don't look clever anymore to having a lot of stuff because everybody in the world can have a lot of stuff if they have some money, and I'm certainly understanding that, but it's no big deal. What we should be doing is going after experiences. Now, there's one caveat here, and I put it up there.